All right, Bowlstream should be up and running. We just closed here 3 minutes ago, so should be able to see what the closing price is. We'll go over the market and today's plays. Let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for May 20th, 2021. Q's up almost 2%. SPY up a little over 1% here. Okay, we got a small gap up and continued the move higher. We are into some resistance here on the Qs, but I'm not bearish on the Qs and SPY. We are looking more bullish. Okay, as I outlined in the room as we were finishing up here, there's really only one likely scenario where I'm going to be bearish on the market tomorrow, and that'll be just in the morning if we gap up. Okay, if we gap up, I think we'll pull in the morning, and then perhaps either stabilize or kind of grind back up into the afternoon. That's my expectation. Okay, what it reminds me of right now, you can see this move up right here. Okay, is we're just extended from a flat 20 MA. Okay, so if we gap up, I think we will come in, but that doesn't mean that's like the start of a bearish bias. It's just, if we gap up, would not be starting longs there. I expect the market to pull back first. What this reminds me of is we had this gap down here, and if you recall, when we were finishing up the day here, I was saying if we gap down tomorrow, probably going to get bought because we're extended away. This was a recently starting to curl down, but had been flat there for a bit. We'll probably get bought because we're just extended down if we gap down. Okay, and so if we gap up, I think we will come in the morning. Otherwise, I think if we gap down just a little bit, probably still bullish. I think if we get an inside day, that'll be even more bullish going actually into Monday. So most scenarios we are going to be bullish only if it's a decent sized gap up. If we get a really big gap down, which I don't think is that likely, that either gaps down to today's lows or even clears it, negating today's bar, then that would be bearish, and that would be bearish, the start of a bearish bias going into tomorrow and next week. I don't think that it's that likely, but that's really the only scenario that I see for tomorrow where we would have a bearish bias. Okay, so bullish going into tomorrow. If we gap up, then it won't be as bullish. Expect a pullback first. Every other scenario going to remain bullish. Okay, on the Qs and SPY. We still need some kind of alignment here on the daily. Here, it's kind of trying to move its way back up after this slight retracement here. A little bit of a downtrend that we had in the hourly there. So it is still trying to transition, but it is looking more and more bullish. Okay, so that's the expectation for tomorrow. SPY's not too different. The pullback's a little bit more shallow. It's a little bit more bullish. I think it requires less for the hourly to repair itself. I think on a gap up on this tomorrow, I think it doesn't really need the pullback, but it still had a decent move up off of support already. So same thing for the SPY. For both of them, same expectation. Okay. Let's go through the process for today. Okay, I had the BDTX as the favorite gap down. Okay, followed by the BEKE and then the KSS. Okay, so if we look at what the BDTX did at the open, is it got bought initially. Okay, so kind of started a trend. That sell setup didn't follow through. This was also a little bit spready. So no play on this at the open, although you could have played this. I think this was okay. It just was a little spready. And this is actually okay too. It wouldn't have worked. So I think these are okay to have played. And they wouldn't have, the opening play, you would have got some follow through. And then this sell setup just wouldn't have worked. So I think those were fine plays, even though they didn't work. Okay, but that was the BTTX. Just due to the spread, and it wasn't very liquid at the open. I wasn't really watching it, so I saw that it was kind of moving really fast. Spread was decent size, I think like 15 to 20 cents. And so yeah, I didn't get involved, so that was good. didn't get involved in that. Although I think the gap, you could have played these. That would have been fine, I think. Then the BEKE ended up getting bought, yeah, at the open as well. So you can see there's no entry whatsoever. There's the first bar, and then it just kind of took out the first bar, started going. So as soon as that happened, it wasn't really much of a watch unless it comes back down to the lows. But then this gap was telling you, okay, support's going to hold. Okay. And then the KSS. So the KSS into some support here. You can see the overlap to the left. I wanted to see how much follow through it could get on the break of this. And you can see also into the weekly 20 MA there. So kind of doing like a breakout failure being confirmed by the gap down. So I did give this KSS a shot this morning. Not here at the open because it was just a little bit too jumpy on the KSS. But I did play this breakdown here. Okay, the breakdown right here. Did have to deal with this little bit of a pullback there. Did look like it was going to fail. Did reach a little over an R here. Was able to get a portion out, but I kept most of it because of the follow through that we've been seeing on the pro gap downs the last couple of days. Right, like yesterday, Iova was fantastic. Now, the news are different. The daily charts are different. So I'm not expecting KSS going to fall this much. But I would like to be in it at least until the trend ends. And so as a result of that, I still was in most of it, and then it eventually got me out. So, yeah, because I got filled, yeah, in here. I did lose a little bit on this. Even though I had some of it out here, I kept most of it. And so then it eventually did trail me out. You can see where the hourly, became a green bar. And then once the green bar's high got taken out, I was out. So lost a little bit on the KSS to start. And then what we noticed is someone in the room actually put it out first, was the BDTX came back to the lows. Okay, so after dealing with all the sloppiness in the morning, came back to the lows, and look how tight it got. Now, this I did have to wait because I wanted the 5-minute 20 MA to get caught up, and it kind of did it right before the breakdown there. You can so see the angle change, and that's because of the size of the gap. It took a while, and then my stop was up here over 75. So it was a decent sized stop. I got filled at 25, some at 25, some at 26, some at 27. So it was like a 50 to 60 cent stop. But got some decent follow through. There was an opportunity for an ad. I did not do the ad here under the whole number, under 15. That was pretty good. Could have used 15 by 15, 20 on this BDTX. And then I was in it till end of day, so I did have to live through a little bit of a bounce there. I took some portions here along the way, out some at 1470, and then another piece here at 14. And then, yeah, the last piece, I guess, is not much different than the second exit. So probably should have looked to be a little bit more aggressive on the trail here. Probably no reason to not have been out right in here. Okay, but I was really trying to be as patient as possible. And I think when I noticed that this sell setup had kind of happened and was triggering, I was kind of working on something else with the room. We were doing some other stuff, so I kind of saw it was already here, and I was like, well, I guess I'll see if it pivots. If not, then I'll just close at end of day. So that was the BDTX. So that's fine. It's not a huge difference. But yeah, like I said, probably should have been a little bit more tight with the trail there. Okay. But I mean, the nice thing is, these are really working. Doesn't matter if there's a lack of shock value. I told someone this in coaching just a couple weeks ago. It doesn't matter that there's a lack of shock value here. They are gapping down. The ones that are clearing support is what's most important. Okay. If they're clearing support, and that is what's most important. You see that? So that's what I'll continue to focus on going into tomorrow, going into next week until, that changes. But these are where I've been seeing the big moves. So you can see that's also what I'm trying to play, right? So, yeah, I guess these kind of things where they're pretty bullish, gapping down into some support here, follow through is a little bit more limited. Now, it is closing here as a red bar, meaning, you know, it is going to close below where it opened, so maybe the easier trend was to the downside, but that doesn't always, you know, say that that's the case, because the intraday a lot can happen. But that's generally an indication of where the easier play was. You know, if it's something like this, then yeah, most likely, you know, that you know, playing it short was the best way to go, and especially like the Iova, you know, this kind of stuff. So that's really what is going to be the focus moving into tomorrow and next week. Okay. Which is, you know, it doesn't, you know, these, because they're the gap, because they're on their own page, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you on this day when Qs and SPY were bearish, I thought the longs were easier, and then the last couple days, I thought the shorts, the pro good gap downs had the bigger move. So, and that's the case a lot of the time, just because they're easier to identify. When the market's moving up like it was today, a lot of things will move up early on and then base at the highs and not follow through or not trigger and things like that, because, you know, the Qs did that quite a bit throughout today. So sometimes when you get something like this, it's hard to differentiate which things are really going to move, because most things are going to look bullish. Okay. All right. So hope you did well today. We will be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a good evening.